Hey peeps, excuse me. Bit of more of an unusual video for me, as, you know, this is far more of a podcast slash edited down type of deal compared to the stuff I usually make. Usually I either react live to patch notes or some other thing, but today I'm just recording the by daylight. I'm talking over it, and I'll just be kind of giving my thoughts. So, I think something that I wanted to talk about is hate. Why are you so negative on the by daylight? If you hate the game or whatever, why would you continue talking about it? Why would you care? Why would you not just move on or do something else? And I suppose that's a fair question to impose, but one I also don't very much like to entertain, because I think it can be coming not from a genuine place, but from a place of dismissal and arrogance. So I want to talk about it a little bit more while we're playing DBD. It is fine to be negative in a game. Some certain channels I feel are kind of like hate mills, like where the only point of the channel is to, hey, this is a controversy I can lock onto, something I can take advantage of, and that means I can get clicks, I can get views, and that's the only purpose. It is not a genuine like editorial position, of you, or you are coming at that from a place of some kind of like bruised ego, where everything is not even framed about the game. It's framed from you personally as a content creator being in some part of witch hunt or something else. You can definitely sense some illusions there, but I'm not going to say any names, as I don't think that's quite the point here to be making. The point is, there are a lot of scenarios where, yeah, it is, it's not authentic, I would say, in the way that a lot of people would like it to be. But I feel like my negative outlook on Dead by Daylight is a very authentic one that stems from a desire for this game to be more fun. And I do mean more fun for everyone. Sometimes people classify me as just like survivor biased, or at points killer biased. I genuinely just want everyone to have more fun in this video game, which I know is a very controversial topic, but I think my position is greatly informed by my personal experiences, as I think most people's are. I know a lot of people like to defer to content creators, and I found that when I was just starting out to play the by daylight often and very actively, I did defer my opinions a lot on the balance of this game. So when I was starting out and I was putting in like 200 hours in 2 weeks, Observer seemed very agreeable to me. I really liked a lot of his opinions, and mostly I kind of deferred my opinion to him, and that has informed kind of my outlook on the game. And then I started watching some other people, well, like Scott John, and that has further informed my opinion on the game, and I was genuinely very locked in, and I was like, yeah, Survivor is definitely a little bit overpowered, we should probably nerf that. Circular healing is stupid, and killers do need something definitely. But I also was not as frustrated by killer gameplay as a lot of people seem to be. I know a lot of people are doom posting of how miserable killer gameplay was, and I think when it comes to circle of healing specifically, I will say, yeah, probably. I would... Oh my god, this Oni is right here. Okay, no, we're fine. It's a bit unsafe for us to play around here because there's no paths. I would definitely agree. It was a kind of miserable time for certain specific killers, but also, for me, I didn't mind it too much, mostly. Even when I'm playing lower tier killers like Trapper or whatever, purely because I found the challenge entertaining. Sometimes it was just pure bullshit, and whatever. But bullshit is a bullshit, and you face that on all sides at some point. But I found the challenge to be an entertaining thing, and especially it was fun to overcome the odds. I think a lot of people like an underdog story, and when I managed to frame my gameplay of the game through that in my head, I had a lot of fun with it. And honestly, I won pretty often in Skiller even back then, and I was on my way to red ranks before they got removed and instead to be replaced with skill-based matchmaking. And honestly, besides some frustrating points, it was a lot of fun. But of course, a lot of people were discontent with Killer, and I won't take that away from them. But I would like to make the argument that Killer is okay to be frustrating. And I don't mean this in the way of like, fuck you, kiddos, I hate you. I mean this in the way of Killer gameplay is always going to be stressful if it's balanced remotely correctly. If you are feeling relaxed playing Killer, something probably is going wrong. Because you are playing as one person versus 4 other people. And you have a lot more responsibilities on your plate. And if that starts to feel less stressful to you, that is probably because you're having just too easy of a time. And that is kind of the experience that I don't want to happen. I don't want Killer to not be stressful, because I think it being stressful is such a core part of the game that the moment you try to address that, it becomes a problem. What I do think is fair to try and address is Killer being frustrating. Killer being frustrating sucks. So like specifically when you're not losing because you're playing badly, but like just some unlucky map RNG, the loadouts, the items, that can suck, and I understand striving to eliminate that. But a lot of people I see are frustrated not because something really unfair happened, but because they feel stressed because they underperform and because they aren't winning at the video game. And I understand the frustration. I also think that they should grow up and stop being such a little baby. Because, fun fact, this is a multiplayer video game, and one side shouldn't be majorly winning compared to the other. Because, you know, what's the point? I see this argument so often. Oh, the killers are supposed to be killing people. Survivors aren't supposed to survive. Like, it's supposed to be a horror game. And I have to ask them, what gameplay are you striving to achieve? Where survivors escape once in a lifetime? Because why would you want to play survivor role on this, like in that instance? Where you can just basically reserve it to that you won't survive. So, what is the point? And people can like say, oh, the chases, but you know, those have largely been kind of reduced in Modern Dead by Daylight, with all the anti-loot powers, kind of guaranteeing on a timer that you will go down. So, that's another aspect that's gone there. The survivor experience has to remain fun and engaging, and the killer experience has to remain stressful, because that is the nature of a role. And I understand that that seems unfair, because it is. That is the nature of the asymmetrical game design, and to try and shift the balance so one feels more frustrating or less frustrating, I think subverts the point of the game long term. If you as a killer are having a better time with survivors, something is wrong, at least in the stress department. That just means that the other team is just so poorly matched, or just has no opportunities to win. Does my pebble work here? No? Not at all. Alright. And that is the case so often now in DBD. Rarely do I ever see a matchup that is remotely fair. I messed that up royally. We have to go to a bout now. Instead, what we see is just stomps. Like this Oni, he's not having a great of times right now. But think about it. He could come back at any second in this game. Like this one power usage can win in the game. Especially if I mess up like this. Not if he messes up like that though. No. Close enough. This game has so many opportunities to snowball, and people do not respect that. And I think that is the largest reasons why killer players are often so frustrated and baby raging. Survivor does not have a good opportunity for a comeback, because, you know, it's the nature of the role. Your impact as a one person isn't that great. Unless the killer is kind of just bad, or you get really, really lucky, keep with like the circumstances letting you get a great flashy save or whatever. You are not going to change the game around by just one play. The thing that's going to change the game is the performance of the other side, of the killer. Oh, I messed that up royally. And a lot of people aren't willing to accept that fact. A lot of people need to blame the game. A lot of people need to blame Survivor friends. But I think killer players just need to own up that most of their losses in their games is directly correlated to their skill level. But now, we are in a state where it is... Oh, you didn't believe that. Kind of incredibly easy to win as killer if you're competent. If you're competent, the average solo queue team has very little tools at their disposal to win against you. Well, because all their favorite perks have been nerfed, and all the survivor crutches that were around and available for such a long time also got removed. So that means that to actually win against the killer either has to be A, bad, or B, all of you have to be really good, which means you're in the Survivor friends, and which means you're already gonna have a good time. Just because of a power imbalance that you inherently bring by bringing 4 known good people. Kind of destroying our team here with my gameplay. He has done the smart play of basically never properly chasing me beyond just getting the blood and just leaving me. And instead focusing mostly everyone else. Unfortunately for me. Let's see if we can irk out and escape at least though. Wow, I was really, really lucky. So, the point is, right, that I'm trying to eventually worm my way around to, is you have to keep the Survivor experience fun and engaging, while keeping killer players relatively happy, but killer players aren't happy because they feel that the role is frustrating and stressful. And they don't realize that the only way to address those frustrations is either make the game inherently very killer-sided, which we are kind of than making it. Or just get better. And people don't want to admit that they just need to get better. Like, that sucks to admit. That kind of is a big ego hit. But with the release of update 6.10, the game became substantially more killer-sided. All of the Survivor crit perks got nerfed. It was basically impossible to win the game as Survivor if the killer played correctly. And the meta for killers became to not play the game. And so did the meta for survivors. I apologize. I was completely losing track because I was yapping too hard. The meta during 6.10 and the aftermath was, hey, don't play the game, focus on the objective, and that was it. And for killers, that wasn't even hooking people. No, it was just patrolling the generators. And survivors, because they just lost their speed boosts. They just lost all their crutch perks they had hard. Well, it would see a resurgence later. Well, what the fuck do they do but just, you know, rush out those generators? And a curious thing happened from those 6.0. Them nerfing all the chase perks made the generator perks more prevalent. And then, in 6.7.0, which was a mid-chapter after Skull Merchant, what a disaster that was, they nerfed Circle of Healing and a lot of the medkit aspects. But inadvertently, that made the most popular, the most annoying, most frustrating item to deal with, the syringe and medkits, almost universal. We saw that one medkit in this game that wasn't a syringe one, but I guarantee you, most medkits in the game never get brought without a syringe. Why? Because, well, every other tool the survivors had has been taken away, so naturally the survivors try to fill that void. Right. The same thing happened with killers, by the way. I tried. Once all the free gen meta has got nerfed slowly, killer players still try to hang on to that. Kind of cling on to that past glory. And maintain that. Unlucky. Like, think about it. How many free gens? Man, I wonder why this game is not played as much. I literally didn't do anything in this game, but I'm getting blood out on the ground. If you think about it, how many free gens did you see before 6.10? Not that many. And after 6.10, oh no, even after all the perks, even Colorblind, even Overcharge, even Eruption, all of them got like severely gutted. How many free gens do you see now? Still a decent bit. Why is that? Well, I think it's because the community at large is like it's like a rat. Once you tell them that something can be done and something is effective, they'll cling on to that forever. Think about it also. So with Circle of Healing, how much healing did you see until God, I just really find the fucking visual funny as I'm trying to talk about the game state, and this is the experience of Survivor. How many medkits healing did you see before Circle of Healing? It wasn't that much. You know, people just weren't that invested in it. But once Circle of Healing was introduced, they rose in popularity, and once Circle of Healing started getting nerfed, they rose in popularity even further. Because behavior introduced that card to the players, it's dangled in front of them, and then was like, I'm gonna take it away, but then players wanted to keep it. Thus, fucking everything up even more. God, what a glorious experience I'm having here. So, you know, things went on and trudged on, and the gap between solo queue and Survivor Friends, despite all the little indicators we have now, never got really bridged. Because even when it comes to reworks like Circle of Healing, we have seen that Circle of Healing now arguably is almost as strong as it was before, but then it is only that strong when it's Survivor Friends, the part of the game that needs the least help. But when solo queue, what are you gonna do with it? Maybe you'll get lucky and get healed up, but most often you're just standing there injured, looking like an idiot because you don't know why the fuck your teammates aren't coming to you, or if they're coming to you. God, this is just really very amusing. It's a very testament to how DBD feels right now. And then there's been so many like not ideological, but you know, sentiment shifts in DBD over time. And people, because they're kind of like frogs who are like being boiled very slowly, they don't sense the heat, they got used to it. And they just think that DBD is the same as it was, bar just a little bit of content changes. And that's not really true, is it now? Because the community has changed, and I don't think that was the fault of the community. I think that was the fault of the game design. I mean, how? The finishing Mori feature. It sure definitely encourages just slugging at the end there. People, after this feature got introduced, I've never seen so much slugging as before. Yeah. But, very, very enjoyable match here. Let's hit with the GG and move on. So, I think the issue with the outlook that people have on this game is they don't understand that all of the toxic behavior in this game is directly, and I do mean almost directly, created by behavior. Like, just start to think about it. They've optimized the game in such a way that, for example, what was the previous regression meta on Killer? Well, let's go on Killer and look at it. The previous regression meta was Ruin. How did Ruin work? It worked so there was Hex Totem, it could be cleansed, even if nobody else on your team knew what the fuck it was, and it would only work when you were actively being interrupted off the objective as a survivor. What is the current regression meta? Well, I don't have it selected, but yeah. Pain Resonance. Generates instantly lose 20% progress. Okay. Let's see the next. True Embrace. Generators are blocked and you can do nothing for 10 seconds. 3 times a match, and then 40 seconds the fourth time. It's not engaging. And it punishes you for your teammates' mistakes. And you could argue, hey, Pop Goes Weasel was also part of this issue. But it was minor, because the meta was Ruin. And you couldn't combine those two together. And it was to a lesser extent because, you know, it wasn't as popular, yada, yada, yada. And it was just one of the examples. It was like kind of on a sideline. So many perks now interact in an not even unbalanced manner. I don't think the regression meta is really that much stronger than before. Although I guess technically it is because of the 90-second generators, which I think was a very stupid decision to make. It is more on a feel way. This feels way worse than what we had before, which sucks. And thus, for me at least personally, I don't find it very fun. And when I go to play on Killer, my favorite killer right now, which is a controversial choice, is Vinay. Here was me trying out the Thrill of the Hunt build, which pretty much still works. But I don't have my other build anymore because I changed that. The point is, I don't enjoy Killer very much anymore because my experience with Killer makes me so much better than the average solo queue team that is left, that in most matches, they either give up or they are just stomped. And then Survivor Friends kicks my ass because, you know, I don't play this game regularly, obviously. So yeah, I do get my ass kicked, but it's not a very fun, like, back and forth experience, because it's just they outload me, they outcare me, because I'm not that invested into the match. So then obviously I'm not gonna win, and it's just boring, and I'm just sitting there for like 10 minutes. So like, okay, I'm gonna lose this match, but I'm just dragging it out because, you know, reasons, and that's not very fun. And then even if I try to play Survivor, my teammates, because the game isn't as fun anymore, nor it feels so much bad, are so much more prone to giving up. And that is not a Survivor the sentiment issue. That is a game design issue. If the sentiment in the community at large that is playing the game, but is not even engaged in the playing the game, like that's not playing the game, but discussing it, just the players, the players that aren't on Reddit, that aren't on Twitter.com, that aren't on Blue Sky, that aren't on Discord, those players are giving up. That is a game-based sentiment, not a community sentiment. That is something that the game is creating that is an issue within the game, and that should be looked to be addressed via game changes. And again, the issue is not even necessarily of balance. Well, I do think on average right now, that by the killer side, for instance, I don't think a 60% kill rate is a healthy target. I don't think that's the real core issue. I think the issue is that the feel of the Survivor gameplay just keeps getting worse. And it's in a lot of subtle ways. But like, if you start thinking about it, what actively in a chase could you do in 2020, 2021? You could burn the killer with a flashlight, because a lot of killers had interactions with those. You could dead hard, which I understand was and is and will forever remain a contentious perk, but it was fun because you could do an active thing in the middle of the chase that could have immediate visual and audio and just feel feedback. Things happened in a chase that you could do, and that felt engaging. And overall, you could bring a strong item that was cool. You had so many options, so many more things to choose for, and you had a strong singular tool if you wanted to not get forced out of the game immediately by a killer trying to tunnel you. And you were also encouraged to always dedicate one perk slot to borrow time, because if you didn't bring it, you were kind of screwing over your teammate. So you wanted to bring it, which fostered a nicer experience in the gameplay. And the other side, barbecue and chili was also brought, that fostered a better and more like fun on gameplay from the killers. And the regression meta was also more fun for survivors. And when you start thinking about all these small things adding up, it makes sense why survivors just don't want to bother anymore, especially a lot of the new killer races. Nobody just cares about how they feel with survivor rent. Like, if you genuinely look at the game, I understand that a lot of people will, if you hate so many characters, why are you even playing? I understand that idea, but I also reject the premise, because what if we just make fun shit? Like, if you ask survivors of like the last, I don't know, how many killers is it? This, like, of the last like 15 killers, how many of them were fun? How likely is the Houndmaster to verse? No. How likely is the Dracula to verse? No. How likely is Vecna to verse? I guess okay, but I personally hate him. And for a long while, with how bullshit Mage Hand was, it was like unknown. The hallucinations feel awful, and personally, I don't know. I don't find the gameplay style they are not very engaging. Chucky universally hated. Xenomorph pretty much universally hated. Singularity pretty much universally hated, and she's really strong right now. Scholar Merchant is one of the killers of all time. The Knight also pretty much universally hated, a little better now. Wesker is the one example that people kind of liked, but also became very quickly to hate due to the nature of this collision being super unintuitive, having terrible feedback, having so many bugs, and being just in every fucking game because how easy it was to play. Dredge was inoffensive because Dredge just did nothing for forever. People still found his Nightfall annoying. Onryo was just so many different ways horrible and annoying to play. Artist, it was the start of the holy shit whole W. So many killers in modern day are like referred to as artist 0.5, artist 0.7, artist 5, whatever. You know, if we go back in DBD like a little bit, like a lot of these killers are more simple and thus have more potential to be inoffensive. Like, how many people actively like facing pig? Not very many. But unless they're going for a really annoying trap head pop playstyle, I don't think any people really find pig that offensive. Freddy, is he very fun to verse? Not really. But do people find him offensive? No. Same thing goes for Clown. You know, like a lot of these kills can be not super engaging, but they are not offensive. Plague, unless we're talking about the strongest add-ons and the most boring playstyles, also is not a very offensive killer. Same goes for the Legion. Unless you're constantly mending and constantly broken because you're in a solo queue, not very offensive. Like even killers like the Spirit, which are examples of probably some of the worst game design for survivors, are bad for survivors in just execution. That could be fixed, in my opinion. And even zoners like the Demogorgon are not that bad. And then there are some really engaging killers like Hillbilly, although to a much lesser extent now. Now, a Wraith, besides the hit and run playstyle, also very engaging. Trapper is fine. I think Nurse is, Nurse is a different topic. I think Huntress is fine. Myers is fine. Like so many of these killers are pretty much fine. Pyramid Head, besides the talented playstyle, I think is extremely fun to verse. Same goes for Blight, unless they're playing in the most boring way, which although is now heavily encouraged, also very fun to verse. Twins, I'm gonna ignore. Trickster is horrible. Nemesis kind of ass, especially now, and it's not good from there onwards. Like all of these killers are within the precipice of at least being tolerable and inoffensive, but when it comes to here, we start going crazy. And it's just, of course, people are going to start hating on more killers because they're releasing more bad killers. I mean, look at the Twins rework suggestion that we had recently, and you tell me where the game design space is at there. Do you think they're considering the experience of survivors there? No, they're clearly not. Because in gameplay of the developers, clearly, killers and survivors are never at a skill level, or they just don't care for enough to consider the survivor experience once the killer is played to a remotely competent degree. Because otherwise, stuff like Chucky's scamper mechanic would have never made it to the game. And then even in subtler ways. Think about Singularity. Think about the Xenomorph, for example. A lot of their power counterplay is macro, item-based counterplay. Can you guess what kind of prevalent weakest group of players in the party LA struggles with? Of course, solo queue, and in Survivor Friends, a lot of these killers, also that are based on item counterplay, can be neutered heavily. Although Singularity is far less so because he got like really overtuned, but hey. Like, on the release, I do not agree that EMPs were that big of an issue. Because it only really happened, in my opinion, in matches where survivors were already at a pretty high level, and often in comms. But in matches where that wasn't the case, which is the majority of the matches, I should remind you, people didn't know how to use the EMPs. They still don't, and they definitely can't now because the EMPs have been nerfed so many times. Which feels bad, you know? And that kind of leads me to why do I still make stuff about this game? Why do I still talk about it? And if so much of my experience now with it is negative. And I think, firstly, the sunk cost fallacy. Fucking I've put so much time into this fucking game. Like, look, I have all the things unlocked, all the things leveled. I've done so much. I've bought so much stuff, and I've poured in so many hours. And at the end of the day, I had a lot of fun playing it for a very long time until those specific updates hit, and then ruined my experience as a player of either side, but especially Survivor. Like that last game that we just played, for example. Sure, I went through the motions, but the end result wasn't me dying on a hook and going, oh, okay, well, next match I didn't escape. But the end result was me getting humped for fucking 4 minutes on the fucking ground, despite doing nothing in that game that was offensive. I don't know, I elected him to chase me once or twice. That was it. Didn't teabag, didn't do nothing, just, that's it. But that was the experience. And that is, why would I wanna do anything as a survivor besides, I don't know, bring the fucking meta, do I have like any meta nerd builds? I don't know. It's just like, this is not even that meta. I don't know. I just bring the commodities toolbox, I bring the Wire Spool, I bring Deliverance, I'm gonna bring Decisive, I'm gonna bring, fuck, I don't even know. I'm gonna just fucking bring everything that is going to help me just rush out the gens. It doesn't matter, because any other choice that I could make is stupid and silly, because why would I bring anything else when that is clearly the only option I should bring? Because if I bring anything else, anything that's not like, you know, as focused on that, anything that's a little sillier, I just get destroyed, you know. And then at the end of the game, the killer can hump me and leave me out for 4 minutes. I can do nothing about it, and behavior will do nothing about it, because Savaris haven't left him with tags to the video. And then if I go at killer, I don't enjoy this gameplay, because what ends up happening is I'm playing my favorite killer of the night. I've got the Time Watch, Torch Island, and the Cult Run as my two favorite items to make him a very macro killer. I get to be stealthy so much of the time, I get to do so much shit. And then what ends up happening, 90% of the team just gets stomped at 5 gens, and I just win, and it's boring, and then it gets sent to Banham, and then I lose, and then it sucks. It's not fun. It's simply not fun, because there is no back and forth. And it's not a back and forth, it's the pendulum being stuck on one side most of the time and then swinging to the other side rarely. And that creates a horrible gameplay experience. And I'm not going to stop talking about it, because I think so many content creators are fucking cooked. So many players are fucking cooked because they think that the game exists in a vacuum. There is no context in the community space of what came before, what was the mindset before. The only things they see are the number changes. Well, eruption isn't in the game anymore, so that means that it doesn't actually have any impact anymore. It does. That still ripples to this day. That one update, even all of the changes that got reverted or changed or otherwise addressed, all of those things ripple. The Knight's original gameplay still ripples. I mean, hell, look at the Skull Merchant. The Skull Merchant is nothing like what she was at release, but yet that same release still carries to this day right here. And if people can realize that that exists in that one context, why are you so unwilling to recognize that all the other balance changes, especially such major changes as 610 and 670, the big meta shift that nerfs Savaris substantially, and the also kind of big meta shift that destroyed medkits and kind of just self-healing in general, why are you unable to recognize that that has far-reaching impacts that you might have underestimated? Why are people so locked in on just being in this in vacuum? Oh, DBD has gotten slightly, like on average, a little bit better. No, it hasn't. Because in like granular improvements over time, when you have such major times of bad and worse and downhill trends, those do not even out. The community impact is terrible, because literally, think about it, for almost a year, what we had the gameplay be is the killer brought Eruption, the killer brought Call of Brine, and then the killer brought Overcharge, and then the killer brought Pain Resonance. And all they did was just patrol around the generators, play a spacebar 1,000 times until the Savaris eventually went down. And that was it. And that was in the game. I need to remind you, that was there for almost an entire fucking year. And you, in your minds, think that somehow this has no discernible impact on the game after it's gone at large, you think that doesn't have repercussions years down the line? You are insane to think that. If the Skull Merchant is one killer that can have a shit release and be not very fun, and then years after her release, so much time has passed, and she is still vehemently hated, no matter how she has changed, how do you think that all of these gigantic changes that span across the entire game have no impact? How do you think that the community sentiment of just giving up a survivor is fueled purely by something like the Great Emblem changes? How do you think that that is not a result of long repercussions of game design shifting in this game? I mean, now, even one such simple system as skill-based matchmaking, right? That so often gets criticized and so often gets hailed. I have my personal issue with it, is when I play a solo queue survivor, when I'm outside of Swift, which again, the bridge between Swift and solo has never been as big as it is now, and I will die on that hill. And when you are playing solo queue survivor and you die, especially if you die along with your teammates, you get punished. And even if you escape, but your teammates are bad, you'll get rewarded less. You're gonna have a harder time of getting up that matchmaking ladder, which can so fucking easily get you in a vicious cycle of having bad teammates, dying, or escaping with less more than you should have, and then getting worse teammates. Vicious cycle again, and again, and again, and again. And why the fuck is that not an addressed thing? When you have the emblem system, it's relatively easy to fucking safety pip. It is not hard for a good survivor player to go from rank 20 to rank 1. Because they are a good survivor player. Even if they have a bad game, they can like get chased for a little while, last a little bit of time, get a bit of jump progress, get the unbroken icon for surviving more than 2 minutes in the game, and then they can safety pip. But that doesn't exist anymore. In this game, you are downranked as survivor so heavily, and your matchmaking quality gets reduced so severely. And other people's matchmaking qualities also gets reduced severely because you die for no fault of your own, and then clearly you were outmatched. Nothing matters. Go fuck yourself. Have a worse game experience. And people fucking wonder why people give up in this game so much more. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you if you are going to lose matchmaking rating anyway? If you're going to get humped on the floor anyway? If all fucking perks shifted so your specific most popular playstyle of playing solo queue has gotten worse and worse and worse with each update, and the developers have clearly stated they do not care, and they think that solo queue being fucked over is the intended game design experience, and that the intended game design experience is for you to maybe escape 1 out of 5 of your games at most. Why would you care? Why would you not give up on hope? Why would you not immediately leave the game that seems frustrating even slightly to go to the next one? Because clearly you are not the target audience. It's not interesting. All the clearly like survivor biased things that supposedly the developers have, those have been freak accidents. They made Made for this, and they just do not understand how impactful Made for this could be. And it wasn't on a large part because survivors are not that good at the video game, and a lot of killers are also not that good at the video game. It is insane to me how people expect survivors to play now, and how people still complain about the killer experience now for being too frustrating and too hard. It's the easiest it's ever been. The only way to make it easier is to just not fucking put the exit gates into the game. Just don't put them in. Just leave them closed, so survivors always die. Except the last guy might get hash. And people will still complain. So clearly, this hasn't worked out. This has not worked out to make a fun and engaging experience, so maybe we should look at it. Maybe we should reevaluate. Maybe we are the frogs that have been boiling in this water for too long, and maybe we should do something different about Dead by Daylight as it is right now. And that is why I care, because I don't think that many other people have the vision, in my opinion, to recognize this game for what it is. Look, I'm sorry. I think a lot of our people are misguided from their personal biases, and I also have my personal biases, but I think I am approaching this from a much more holistic perspective, from a much more wide lens than a lot of other people. A lot of other people see the day-to-day balance discussions, see the day-to-day minutiae. I like to think big when analyzing this game. I like to think the repercussions that a given perk might have, like a year down the line after it's been popularized or a video comes out of it. I like to think about that, and I think that's why my perspective is a unique one. And that's why I care, because I see the potential in this game to be absolutely fantastic. And I see the potential in making another Asym game that is better than Dead by Daylight and making it good by just copying Dead by Daylight and not doing all the stupid stuff. And that's why I continue talking about it, because, you know, I have passion, I have fervor, and I want this to be fun. I want to have a game I can spend 100 hours a weekend and have fun. I haven't lost that because I burnt out. The only reason I stopped playing as much is because, firstly, I had other things to do, and then, boom, the shit updates come out, and the game is less fun. I only have fun in this game anymore when it's like either one rare game of a fun experience, or I am sweating my arse off playing this with other friends, because that can emulate the feel of what solo queue felt a few years ago. And I am tired of all this. Oh, if you don't like the game, oh, you know, survivors are meant to. Shut the fuck up. Just genuinely, just shut up and let people try to talk about how this game could be made better. If you don't have an opinion on how to make the game better, then shut the fuck up. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to watch this video. You can just go in your corner and enjoy the video. Oh, God damn it. I'm like, if you are having fun, that's great. Have fun in your fucking corner. I am having my own fucking corner. I'm not having fun in this game anymore for no fault of my own. I've tried to adapt. God damn it, I tried, but the game meta that has been created, I think is miserable, and I think is unsustainable. Because if you look at the gameplay numbers of the DBD right now, yes, it remains popular. But if you compare it to like 2021, like okay, let's just look for this virus. In 2021, we've had Yunjin Lee, we had Jill Valentine, we had Theo, we had Michaela, we had Elodie, I believe, Leaf, and you know, 2 licensed characters. That was one chapter. Let's scroll back to current year. Okay, so we have original character, licensed character, licensed character, licensed character, original character, license, original character. I understand I'm mushing gears a little bit, but like, look at the amount of license content. If you go through the events we have, how often do you feel like events happened in the Daylight before now? How often do you remember a triple blood points incentives of happening? We had like 4 or 5 this fucking year alone. It was previously stated in the wiki to be the rarest event in the Daylight. At least for blood points. But it's happening constantly now. Like every other release, this is a huge license. And for some reason, listen, the player numbers are average, as they have been, at best maintaining the course we've had. And I implore you to question, why, despite such a massive content injection, why, despite there being a reason, like a huge reason, to log into this game every day, with every event not only being a huge new event and spectacle, with having marketing centered around it, but also having always a tome to come with it. Why are the player numbers the same? Is it just, and might I suggest this wild idea, because less people are playing the Barrio anymore? Not in the sense that less active players are there, but more that all players are just, we don't have player retention anymore. This is a desperate bid for player retention, and it cannot be sustainable because look at the layoffs behavior have done twice in 1 year. The horrible, just awful, insane layoffs of some of the best people at their company. And despite that, they push on acquiring more studios, starting new ventures, trying to branch out, trying to make a movie, trying to make this game company, trying to get this game going, trying another thing, trying this thing. They're trying so many things, and none of them are fucking working. None of them. Because they don't have the fucking foresight to understand that, hey, this isn't going to work forever. Our foundation is rotten. You can't just keep fucking painting it over and thinking it's okay. And to the people who still have fun in this day and age of Dead by Daylight, that's great. I'm happy that you are enjoying this game. But less people are enjoying it, and especially I am not enjoying it anymore. So this is my perspective. And this is what I think is the problem. How we should come about addressing it, that's a much more complex issue, which I'm not exactly super ready to delve into. But holy fuck. Dead by Daylight is not in a good state. Dead by Daylight is not in a better state. Dead by Daylight has poisoned the mind of its community with the gameplay changes it has made, and eventually reverted partially. It has only sustained itself through being an insane monopoly where nobody else tries to copy its winning formula. Everyone else just fails and tries to do their own stupid thing, which obviously doesn't work because it's fucking duh. You are trying to come up with a brand new formula, not testing it at all, and then being unreceptive to feedback, and obviously you gotta copy Dead by Daylight. And it also has sustained itself through just the amount of content rotations Scummy should have pulled out. No. I mean, look at the new store. Did you know that this was supposed to be a part of one entire UI update across the entire game? No? Well, it was. But guess what? It got rushed out so they could make more money. What's this? There's a daily gacha mechanic to keep if you pulled in. There's a weekly gacha mechanic to get you pulled in. There's so many little things to keep you coming and coming and coming back. And yet the game is doing seemingly the same it has ever been. So I implore you to question it. Is Dead by Daylight really better than it was like 3 years ago? And I'm gonna tell you straight up, the answer is no. Dead by Daylight is possibly in the worst state it has ever been, and the only reason it doesn't seem so is because it has become such a giant. It's been so propped up. It's hard to see how rotten the foundation is, and a lot of the people playing this game have been boiling in the spot for so long that they don't realize how much worse it has gotten. Because when the game gets slowly worse and worse and worse over updates in sinister and not immediately apparent to you ways, it's hard to spot. And I don't mean to stroke my ego or whatever and my intellect for saying, oh, I'm so much better than all the other people. I'm not. I just have the specific brand of mental illness that lets me see those patterns. And here I am in my hour-long rant telling you why this game is bad and why I want it to be better. And I'm also going to tell you it's not going to be better. And that is the unfortunate reality to face. So, Happy New Year, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this mess of a podcast. And I'll see you all in the next video. I bid you 2 peeps.